We're back on InfoWars Nightly News, and if you've seen the show before, then you'll know that we're always keen to promote up-and-coming independent musicians whose work is informed by the spirit of truth. And on that note, I'm pleased to be joined by singer-songwriter Szilva Vecserdy. Szilva, welcome to the show.
Hey, Paul. Thanks for having me on the show.
Thanks for being here. So for the viewers who are not aware of you or your work, briefly tell us about yourself and your musical background.
Okay. My name is Szilva. I'm a first-generation Australian with a Hungarian family heritage. When I started singing and songwriting, it resonated with me deeply, and I knew that creating and performing music was the path that I wanted to follow for the rest of my life. And Paul, I find music to be such a beautiful gift, and the fact that it's a language that everyone on this planet understands was the main reason why I wanted to pursue music. So, since I've been here in Los Angeles, I've been writing and producing music, probably, over 80 songs with my music partner, Chris Landon, and we've formed the music production company 222 Music. Some of these songs I use for my artist repertoire when I perform live with my band. However, a lot of songs that we write I use for licensing to other artists, for commercials, for movies and whatnot. And Paul, I just want to say that my mission in life is to inspire and bring about change through the language of music. I believe that's why I'm here, and I want to do it in a positive and impactful way.
Now, you're obviously Australian, but you're in LA at the moment. But from speaking to you, you're obviously aware of, Alex Jones, InfoWars, and the truth movement in general. Mm-hmm. How did your political awakening arise, and how does it inform your music?
Well, I think alternative media sources are exactly what society has needed for a very long time, because prior to this, we only really had one mainstream machine pumping us with a one-dimensional angle. So, I believe that our society has the right to explore, subjects in different lights. So to me, it's a positive move in the right direction. And I think everyone has the right, to explore subjects in different lights. It's, as Americans, as Australians, and that kind of thing. So I think everyone can agree that YouTube, as crazy and oversaturated as it is, has opened up a lot of doors, to an overall awakening, which is great. And as an artist, I consider myself more alternative as opposed to mainstream. So, I prefer to write songs about my passions and my life experience and my thoughts and visions, and that's never going to change.
Now, one of your songs I saw in a previous interview, you briefly discussed it, is about overcoming resistance, and you cited Stephen Pressfield's book, which I've also read, called The War of Art as an Influence. And, as anyone who's read that book will know, it's mainly focused on eliminating procrastination, especially in the creative fields. So just explain to the audience, where this form of self-resistance comes from and how we can overcome it in the creative process, whether it's writing, music, or any artistic pursuit.
Right. Well, procrastination definitely is one of the main forms of resistance. And resistance is a self-created invisible force, and it basically deters us from our path. When we're trying to move forward, of fulfilling our goals and that kind of thing, it's like a negative magnet. So for every step that we move forward, resistance tries to take us back a step or two. And resistance through distraction is a very powerful force to overcome. I think pop culture is a massive form of resistance, and it doesn't encourage critical thinking and creative expression. Paul, in regards to self-generated resistance, I think the first step in overcoming that is identifying its existence. And, once we've done that, we can learn, and through discipline, we can block it and win our own creative battles.
You talk about pop culture. This is something that I've discussed before, which, as you mentioned, it's kind of this deliberate reductionism in art and music to encourage this cycle of passive, unthinking content while downplaying or discouraging anything with any real meaning. But what we also see in the music industry is, which is quite bizarre, which a lot of people focus on, and it gets a lot of attention, is this deluge of famous music artists who talk about the Illuminati as if, you know, they're a part of it. Do you
Right.
think these artists genuinely believe that they're part of some kind of secret society that gives them this power and success in the music industry, or is it just a mindless fad that they try and glom onto in an effort to appear, you know, at the top of the tree, as it were?
Right. Well, unfortunately, Paul, I don't think it's just a mindless fad, and I don't know where it's going to go next. You know, I don't know if nobody knows where it's going to go next. One thing I do know, though, is that the message is being portrayed to young people today, and I'm talking pre-teens, are perhaps a reflection of the mindless behaviour of so many Americans that we keep hearing about in the news. Like quite recently, my fellow Aussie, Chris Lane, you know, he was recently, you know, a victim of, you know, this American youth, which is just, it really shocked Australia, and obviously people worldwide, that this kind of thing could happen in, you know, through boredom. And I think, you know, I think pop culture definitely influences that, can influence that.
Well, that's a good point, because the murder of Chris Lane, now we've discovered, was a result of a gang initiation. And of course, that is now predominant in rap music, especially. This idea that to be cool, to be successful, you have to throw up gang signs and talk about, you know, being part of a gang. Whereas if you look at some of the rap music from a decade or two earlier, it was more about self-empowerment. But as it's got more popular, it seems to be encouraging a more degenerative message. And I guess that this brings me on to my next question, which is, you know, we've got all this controversy this week about the MTV Video Music Award performances last night, just really kind of degenerative and ugly. As you mentioned, pre-teen audiences are watching the likes of Miley Cyrus while she's, you know, gyrating up against somebody's crotch, and most of her fans are 13, 14-year-old girls.
Exactly.
People have made reference to selling their soul to be successful in the music industry. Is there any way for talented people that you can see to become really popular and deservedly successful without crossing into that whole Illuminati degenerative sphere and, you know, not compromising their ideals? Is there any way for independent artists to become successful without selling their soul, as it were?
Well, Paul, I think, you know, a lot of artists are intimidated by the realities of the music industry as a whole, but, you know, every artist has the ability to overcome this resistance and deserves to have their voice heard in society. I think young creatives today are encouraged to follow a dead-end path instead of creating a path of their own. But with the means of social media, I think anything's possible. And if you're true to yourself, this will ring true to others as well. So I hope that we can create a new generation of artists by supporting each other's art and creations, and, you know, to do this in an effort to overcome the resistance that our current pop culture attacks us with. And I just want to say that I feel like today, you know, pop culture is a machine that's fronted by, how should I put it, like an army of puppeteers that communicate a disturbing subliminal message to entertain an audience and our future society. I mean, sometimes it's subliminal, sometimes it's not so subliminal, as we saw at the VMAs, but the true definition of the word entertain is being detained and letting something enter you. And the more I do my own personal research on, you know, shows such as InfoWars and that kind of thing, and find out about things and learn about things, it's, you know, about how our youth are being entertained. It's really scary. I'm kind of worried for the future.
Well, of course, Lauryn Hill, when she went public earlier this year, she labelled it the media industrial complex. She basically said it was, the music industry was designed to oppress people with genuine talent while pumping out this mindless nonsense. And
Right.
relation to that, I mean, what role from a positive aspect do you think that that music has to play in educating young people about real issues? Because we saw more of that, 20, 25 years ago, not so much now. So how do you think music should be used to educate and inspire young people, the young generation?
Well, music has a profound impact on society and culture, and I feel like our current pop culture promotes a very disturbing behaviour amongst young people in society, like we've just been talking about, and nobody is speaking about it critically in the mainstream media, and young people don't know any better, so they embrace it. So hopefully people will, wake up to the reality of what pop culture is doing to us and continue educating themselves through alternative media sources like InfoWars and evolve beyond the forces of resistance that we are brainwashed with.
Okay, so in closing, just tell people how they can find out more about you and your music.
Okay, I've just released a video called Overcoming Resistance, A Songwriter's Quest, which you can find on YouTube, which is youtube.com/Szilva Music. You can also stay updated on all the latest on Facebook, which I update on a regular basis, and that's facebook.com/Szilva Music. And my official site is szilvamusic.com.
Szilvamusic.com. Okay, Szilva Vecserdy will continue to track your progress and have you on again in the future. Thanks for joining us on InfoWars Nightly News.
Fabulous. Thank you so much for having me, Paul. You have a great day.
Thank you. That's going to do it for this edition of InfoWars Nightly News. Please subscribe at prisonplanet.tv. Of course, for those of you watching this on YouTube, just a ton of multimedia content since 2004 now, prisonplanet.tv. A library of information, speeches, special events, content that you're not going to see on YouTube. And of course, it supports our entire network, enables us to deliver this content, InfoWars Nightly News, Monday to Friday at 7 p.m. So subscribe at prisonplanet.tv, and we'll see you on the next edition of InfoWars Nightly News.
Now you can watch The Alex Jones Show live as it happens at Infowars.com/show.
You'll find links to all of our content there and a free 15-day trial for Prison Planet TV.
More than 60 movies and documentaries all in one place at Infowars.com/show.
The important thing about the Pro One filter today is that the material we use for removing fluoride and other heavy metals now will remove the latest form of fluoride called hydrofluorosilicic acid. There's no other fluoride reduction filter out there that will remove that type of fluoride. And it's extremely important because today we're hearing more and more cities are using that form of fluoride.
We've been having medication forced on us through the water system for quite a while. Most people don't realize it. Most people don't realize the negative effects of fluoride.
There's a wide range of health effects that are attributed to fluoride.
Bottom line, why should somebody get this new Pro One Pro Pure filter?
The reason to buy the Pro One, it's an all-in-one filter. It's convenient, easy to use. It doesn't require the add-on fluoride filter, and in addition, this filter removes the latest form of fluoride called hydrofluorosilicic acid.